Okay, well, we'll just do a little review about what we read last week. I think one of the major things that happened, if you remember, Zoe was a little late to get back for the Head Start bus for her little brother and sister to get off, and she's always there. What happened when she was just those few minutes late, they got really upset because they didn't see her, and her little sister Aurora ran out into the streets, and Zoe was like, don't, and tried to stop her, but the cars started slamming on their brakes. Aurora was not hurt, but she just stood there frozen. And her little brother, Bryce, just started crying and screaming. So Zoe had to go and rescue her little sister. Remember, she had the baby on one hip, the diaper bag on one shoulder. She had to pick up Aurora, scoop her off in the middle of the street, and people were honking their horns, and that made everything much worse. And she got over to her little brother, and he was just having a meltdown. And remember, she handed him some rocks, one rock at a time, to hold in his hand to help calm him down. And at the end of our story last time, we were saying what we had to hold on to when we got stressed out. And just to go over some names that we'll be reading again, Fuchsia is one of Zoe's, in fact, she is her only and best girlfriend. Silas is her friend from the trailer park. And when he gets to school, Silas never talks. When he gets on the bus, Silas never talks. But he talks to Zoe when they're waiting for the bus. Matt Herbert is the young man that he just sort of has it all together, he and his family. And to Zoe's eyes, he's very, very wealthy and doesn't seem to have any problems at all. And she realizes, instead of having a crush on him like a boyfriend, what she really has is admiration for him, for his being so confident. So we're going to pick up our story now on chapter 8. Oh, and one more thing. Remember, she has been invited by her teacher to be in the debate club, and she doesn't want to do that. She feels like she's totally inadequate. And the animal that she has picked to be the best animal possible is an octopus. So Zoe will talk about becoming an octopus throughout the readings because that's her favorite animal. Okay, here we go. I put the debate packet in my backpack the next morning and have it with me when I get into the bus, in part to get back at Lenny's friend for leaving those notes, but mostly because I want to. Because I'm going to be the top of my game today, I already managed to get Bryce and Aurora out the door on time, even though Bryce kept whacking things with his lightsaber every time I turned my back. There's even a spot on the bus right close to the driver, so I don't have to be anywhere near Kaylee in the nose. I sink into the seat and exhale. When Matt Herbert climbs up the stairs with his trumpet case, I peek to see if he looks at me. I can't tell though. He might have, but it also might have been a mistake, because usually someone else sits here. Unfortunately, there are 4 hours between when I arrive at school and the social studies and science interdisciplinary block. And even though I try to channel Silas's imperturbable wall, stuff finds its way in anyway. Side looks at my clothes, extra long size from my teachers when I haven't done the homework. And by the time I walk into social studies, I'm a mess. Just thinking about all those people looking at me while I'm up in front of the class has my hands doing their shaking thing. Why? Why is this so scary? It's not running out of food. It's not losing our place to live. It's definitely not Aurora trapped in the middle of Route 3 like last week. I try to take a deep breath. Around me, kids are going back and forth between the social studies and the science room. Well, the wall usually is, and they don't seem nervous at all. But I can't stop my hands from shaking. And when I take my packet out to put it on my desk, it's like a trembling white flag, just waiting to call attention to itself. What if I do it without the packet? I know my Octopus facts code, right? I can stand up there and do that. But as soon as I try to imagine what I would say, I can't remember anything. Everything has cleared out. It's like peering into an empty apartment the day after you've been evicted. The only thing there is a stray dirty sock that got left in the corner. All right, everyone, Ms. Rochenball announces while Mr. Peck settles down some kids at the back of the science room. Today will mostly be focused on the second part of the debate, the question and answer period. Your goal is to get your fellow classmates to realize that your animal is better than the one they selected. A debate is always about getting someone to look at things in a new way. Matt Herbert raises his hand and asks something, but it's like I'm underwater and not in an octopus sort of way. I'm going to need that packet and I'll be worse than Calvin. I'm going to be a blubbering, shaking mess. Exactly who is going to change their mind about me based on that? Exactly no one. I stand up to sign out for the bathroom, even though I was just there during English class. And on my way to the door, I do what I need to do. I drop my debate packet in the trash can. When I finally got my hands to stop shaking, I come back to class. Mrs. Rochambeau asks where it is. But it takes is just a simple response. I forgot it. Mrs. Rochambeau's raised eyebrows of disappointment only works if I'm looking at it. I did the right thing too, because when I take my seat again, Holly McElmore is trying to answer questions from Kaylee about giraffes, and it's not going well. Holly is nice. She went to the elementary school, and she and her friends let Fuchsia and me sit at their lunch table. We sit at two separate ends of the table, but still. Aren't they going to get neck issues when it's so long and skinny, points out Kaylee? And how can they hide from lions? Also, I don't see why giraffes. Mrs. Rochambeau cuts her off before she can pile on any more questions. Holly is all red and practically hyperventilating, and both Nellie Abbott and Taylor Dixwell have their hands up like lions all ready for that giraffe. Remember to give the person you're asking the chance to answer one question at a time, said Mrs. Rochambeau. Holly, would you like to respond? Holly practically whispers, actually, I think owls are better than giraffes anyway. And she sits back down. Kaylee smirks, and I can see her moving the points from the giraffe column to the owl column in her head. I cross my arms, and in my head, I tally up all the many points that belong in the octopus column. Maybe no one else knows it, but I do. I glance at Matt, and at least I didn't embarrass myself. On the bus the next morning, Matt definitely does not look at me as he gets on, and he definitely doesn't look at me when he passes me in the hallway on his way to his locker. Maybe he caught sight of me once from his cozy spot on that tropical island of his, but he probably just decided it was the sun hitting a wave in a funny way, or maybe a seagull. Certainly not someone on the verge of drowning. Hey, what's wrong with you? Fuchsia says, appearing at the locker next to mine. I try to rearrange my face. I'm fine, I say. Please, she rolls her eyes. Spill it. What's up? Annoying grown-ups, freaky nightmares, boy drama? She sucks in her breath. You whine. That's it, isn't it? What is wrong with my face? There's no boy drama, no whines, no twitches, especially because Fuchsia is the I heard that boy laughing at your hair, so I punched him in the stomach and you're welcome kind of a friend. At least that's what she did in the first grade. Before that, we hung out because no one else wanted to be friends with us. But we were actually friends after the punching. Now she's less likely to actually punch someone since middle school punishments equal getting suspended and having to spend the day at home with her mom. But that's probably for the best. Sure, there isn't, she nods. Who is it? No one. So this no one likes you and you aren't interested? Or this no one is older and gross and sending you perverted text messages? I stare at her. I don't even have a phone, Fuchsia. She sighs. So it's the other way around then. You like him, and he won't give you the time of day. We should be talking about you, I say. How's Jane Kitty? Don't change the subject. Spill it, Zoe. Who is it? She cocks her head, twirls a strand of pink hair, and stares me down, like she'll be completely and thoroughly insulted if I don't tell her, but also like she might threaten to announce it to the world if I do. I look away. When I had to move away during the spring of second grade, Fuchsia didn't talk to me for a whole week before I left. It didn't matter she had moved plenty herself. Her moves were always to somewhere else in town. What I was doing was unforgettable. When I moved back to town in fifth grade, she was cooler than before. Not actually cool, but more eye-rolly and sighing, clothes-rippy. She was still with one of her foster families then, and she claimed she didn't care what they did or said. But when I saw the 15-year-old sister at an after-school pickup one time, I realized that Fuchsia's hair had been dyed just like hers. I'm waiting, she says. The wall's bright white paint along the edges really helps the dark red brick stand out. If I were an octopus, I'd be able to switch my skin to that exact brick pattern and I'd blend right in. Fine, Fuchsia huffs. Be that way. And she walks away and I'm left staring at a solid brick wall. Matt isn't in homeroom for some reason, which helps make the case for the lack of boy drama. Maybe he's gone poof and suddenly stopped existing altogether. That would solve a lot of problems. Unfortunately, Mrs. Rochenbuhl wasn't gone poof herself because Mr. Bontoff drops a note on my desk. Zoe, Mr. Peck gave me the okay to switch your Wednesday ACE period schedule. You'll no longer have extra help for science, but instead will be required to attend the debate club I'm running in the library. Bring a pen or pencil and a notebook. Also, next time you're throwing away your debate packet, you should use the paper recycling instead of the trash. See you soon, Mrs. Rochenbuhl. Honestly, she went through the trash? Maybe she's more like me than I thought. But in what alternate universe do I belong to the debate club? I couldn't even handle standing up for 2 minutes to talk in class. When Mr. Bontoff calls everyone to attention and announces it's time for the student council election speeches, I stuffed a note in my pocket. Maybe I'll be forced to go to a stupid debate club, but there's no way I'm participating. At least I have a say in that. Our homeroom shuffles down to the multi-purpose room, and as soon as I get there, I realize why Matt wasn't in homeroom, because he's running for 7th grade class president. Up at the front of the room, the kids around Matt are fidgeting, but he's completely still. As though preparing to give a speech in front of 100-something kids, it's no big deal. If I had to stand up there at that podium, I'd probably blurt out, "Octopus," and pee myself. Mrs. Rochenbuhl is rustling around up front, in charge of the whole thing. Of course she is. I wonder if she ever got married. I might not like her, but I hope she did, just to show that fin of Winnie's. As our homeroom sits down in its row, I see Amanda DeBruyne and Nicole Rochenforth from ACE period science extra help sitting next 2 rows in front of me. Even though I mostly spent the periods cleaning Mr. Peck's hermit crab tanks, I like the time with them. After they finish doing the work, Amanda and Nicole can draw the best poodles, and they didn't mind that I peeked over their shoulder. I wish there were kids like them on my bus or in my homeroom, kids that aren't all fancy pants like Matt and aren't grimy like me and Fuchsia. Meanwhile, in our homeroom row, Fancy Pants Kaylee Vine and Nellie Abbott are making eyes at my shirt like it once mugged them in a dark alley. In my head, I spin my octopus funnel to point directly at them and douse them with a generous helping of freezing cold salt water. I look around for Fuchsia, but she's in the alternative classroom, and they don't always come down for grade level assemblies. The speeches are boring. One girl talks for a long time about what kind of vending machines we should have in the cafeteria. But since you can't stick your free lunch ticket into a vending machine, I could care less about that. When Matt stands up and walks to the podium, I lean forward to see better. He has to be nervous. Are his hands shaking? How can they not be? How can he look so calm? There are so many people watching him. It's like he's not even human. Principal Fitzgerald, teachers, staff, my fellow classmates, he begins. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'll keep it short, since I know there are more people that need to give speeches after me. And there's only so long you can listen to people talk about themselves. He looks up from his piece of paper and smiles. A few people around me giggle at his joke, and someone yells out, "Herbert," before a teacher hushes him. But all I can see is that smile, a real smile, even when he's making a joke about himself. Like he knew everyone would get the joke, because who doesn't think he should be standing up there? Like he couldn't even imagine someone calling him grimy or stupid or lazy or a troublemaker. He goes on about how hard he will work and how he's going to work for the 7th grade so that we're represented in a way that we deserve. He says more stuff and then he sits back down. Other people stand up and talk, but I can't take my eyes off of Matt because suddenly I know this isn't some crush on a boy. This is me wanting to feel the way he does, strong and confident, like no one would even think about messing with me. Too bad that's even more impossible. And just in case I need the impossibility of that to wave its giant hands in front of my face, when I show up at the library for ACE period debate club, Guess who's sitting smack in the middle of one of the circular library tables like he owns the place? Matt Herbert. Chapter 9. This would be a good time to turn around. I can still hide out in the bathroom all period if I need to. Zoe! I turned to see Mr. Hurd, the librarian, standing on a chair next to a bulletin board for Martin Luther King Day with an open stapler in his hand. Are you going to be going to the debate club for ACE period? That's fabulous. Right. Fabulous. Mrs. Rochambeau is coming toward me. It's good to see you here. Do you have a pen and notebook with you? I nod. I don't say that I have no plans to actually use them. She hands me a laptop. Then you've got everything you'll need. I eye the other kids. They're all looking at Mrs. Rochambeau like eager beavers. I mean, there's no way I could ever be like them. Okay, everyone, find a seat, Mrs. Rochambeau says. Let's get started. And Mr. Herbert, get off that table. I slip into a chair at the table furthest away, but Mrs. R is having none of it. Zoe, come up here. She motions to a chair next to a girl who must have gone to the elementary school and who I think is in my English class. All the kids go blurry when I make the switch from one chair to the other, but once I sit down, they start to come back into focus. The girl does seem to be the same one who's in my English class, unless there are two brown-haired girls with a long braid and habit of drawing cats all over their notebook. But more important, the other person at the table is Matt Herbert. Octopuses are supposed to smell like geraniums when they get stressed. And I'm pretty sure this whole library now smells like a bunch of geraniums have exploded. Mrs. R has dragged a rolling whiteboard over it and holds a dry eraser marker over her head. Now, you must always remember the purpose of debate is to convince someone to see something in a new way. I take a deep breath. I just have to stay calm. I have plenty of practice blending in and doing nothing in all of my regular classes. An ACE period only happens on Wednesdays. What's 40 minutes once a week? I open my notebook, uncap my pen, rest my chin in my hand, and stare at the spot on the whiteboard just a bit to the side of Mrs. R. I've got this. I just have to keep my leg from going all jittery. Mrs. Rochambeau goes on about how a resolution is a statement in the debate that you're either arguing for or against, and other stuff too, like about how if you are confident in what you say, people will take you more seriously. She says the word confident 16 times in the space of 5 minutes. I counted. But one great thing about ACE period debate is that everyone else likes to talk a whole lot, and none of the kids seem to care. When I sit there totally silent, I manage to make it through the period unscathed. No embarrassment, no jittery leg, no total reveal of the mess I'd be in if I had to stand up at a podium. And nothing for Miss R either, because she might want me to jump through some silly hoop, but too bad. Dolphins might jump through hoops, but I'm an octopus. My mom doesn't have any hours at the restaurant today, and I find her at home sorting through the mountain of laundry while the baby takes clothes out of the pile and flings them around. Lenny's dad is watching one of his news programs and flossing his teeth. I'm going to walk to the laundromat, my mom says. Lenny never has time to dry me, and this washing machine isn't about to start working again. She sighs and looks at the clothes still outside in the laundry basket. But I can only take the important stuff. I can't carry it all. I look at what's in the laundry basket. Why is it just Lenny's stuff? She looks down like she had noticed. Well, you know how important it is for him to look put together for work. And last night he was saying he didn't have any clean pants to wear. The pile of laundry already in the basket is pretty big, but I dig around in the leftover clothes till I find Aurora's pink sparkly leggings that desperately need to be washed. I hold them up for my mom to see. Can these go in too? My mom's eyes go wide. What happened to those knees? Aurora was crawling around on the sidewalk, pretending to be Bruce's cat, and that's from the rock salt. She laughs and deposits the leggings into the laundry basket. She does make a good cat, doesn't she? I nod. Her meow is so good, I keep thinking there's an actual cat around. Maybe Bryce will stop asking for a real one, my mom jokes, because that sure isn't happening. Well, he hasn't brought it up in a while, so maybe. There's something about Bryce that's not exactly Bryce recently. He stopped asking about having a cat, and there was all that extra lightsaber whacking this morning. I eye the rest of the laundry. I want to add some of my clothes, but then I see Bryce's favorite Star Wars shirt that he spilled ketchup down the front of, and I grab that instead. I hand it to my mom. Maybe getting his favorite shirt back will help him. This too, Mom? She eyes the plastic laundry basket that's now full to bursting and has a crack in the side. And I think she's about to say no, but she actually nods. And then in a move that's remarkably similar to the old competent mom, she retrieves some duct tape from a drawer and sits down next to the basket ready to do some reconstructive surgery. You must have some of your own clothes that you want washed too, she says as she secures the tape around the plastic supports. You should add a few things of your own. Really? She finishes her taping job and hefts the basket up to her hip. Yeah, I think I can carry a bit more weight. I look at her for a moment to see if she's kidding, but she doesn't seem to be. So I fish out a few shirts and a pair of jeans and toss them into the basket. Just like any good octopus, when there's an opening, I know how to slip through it. She looks at the clock on her phone. It's going to take me 40 minutes to walk there, and then by the time I've gotten it all washed, I might as well wait for Lenny to get done with his shift and give me a ride home. It's right on his way, so I won't mind because it doesn't use extra gas, right? She glances at the kitchen. Can you cover dinner, Zoe? I know these last few days of the month are tight, and the baby seems pretty fussy today. I think he's teething. I watch as Hector chews on one of Aurora's shirts and then shrieks. I can tell where this is going. He's turning into one more screaming monkey. I'll figure something out, I say. My mom puts on her jacket and hoists the laundry basket onto her hip. Hey, Mom? She looks at me with her hand on the doorknob. What, Zoe? I picture Matt standing up at that podium, making that joke. Mom, do you ever feel confident? Confident? She shakes her head as she pulls the door open. The only confident I am is confident that life's never going to get any easier than this. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Okay, and I'll just have a question. Can we unmute ourselves? Here we go. Chester. Okay, let me put it back so I can see me. All right, there's Chester, and he's this little tiny mouse person, and he had his own way of doing things. And he says on the front page, hello, my name is Chester. I like croquet and peanut butter and making my bed. And there he is talking to us. And he's standing in a bunch of red poppy flowers. And he has on shorts that look like they have flowers on them too. He's got a blue jacket on. And we've got lots of pictures, and I won't show you every one because I want to be sure that you get to at least see some of them. But Chester always cuts his sandwich diagonally, like at a slant. He always got out of bed on the same side, and he never left the house without double tying his shoes. Okay, and there he is sitting at the table with a plaid tablecloth. Okay, and there he is getting out of the bed. And he's got a yellow bed on. He's got striped pants and a blue pillow and purple cover. And there he is double knotting his shoelaces. And he's sitting in a blue chair with his green jacket. And his mother says, Chester, you definitely have a mind of your own. That's one way to put it, said Chester's father. Chester's best friend, Wilson, was exactly the same way. And that's why they were best friends. Okay, that shows you a picture of Chester. And they're playing croquet. And here they're playing baseball. And they do everything exactly the same. And at the end there, you can see they're riding their bicycles. And you know what? They both give hand signals, which is something you used to have to do in your car, but you don't have to do that anymore. But they're very polite and they're very considerate of each other. If Chester were hungry, Wilson was too, but they didn't eat between meals. Some days I can't tell those two apart, said Wilson's mother. Me either, said Wilson's father. Chester and Wilson, Wilson and Chester. That's the way it was. And here it shows them playing leapfrog, right? Taking turns going over each other. It's pretty cute. It's great illustrations. They love to go on picnics. Once when Wilson actually accidentally swallowed a watermelon seed and cried because he was afraid that a watermelon plant would grow inside him, Chester swallowed one too. Don't worry, said Chester. Now, if you grow a watermelon plant, I'm going to have one too. For Halloween, they always dressed as things that went together, like salt and pepper shakers, 2 mittens on a string, ham and eggs. They really are 2 peas in a pot, said Chester's mother. Looks like it, said Chester's father. Okay, there they are with their costumes on. Okay, the salt and pepper shakers. Okay, did I forget what they were? 2 mittens on a string and ham and eggs. Oh, there's the ham and eggs. Okay. Anyway, it's pretty funny. And there's the mom and dad waving at them as they're going off on a picnic together. In spring, Chester and Wilson shared the same umbrella. In winter, they never threw snowballs at each other. In fall, they raked leaves together. And in summer, they reminded each other to wear sunscreen so they wouldn't burn. Okay, so there they are with their umbrella. Okay, sort of like today. And they've got the yellow raincoats and red galoshes and the beautiful blossoms are on the tree like apple trees. Okay, there they go down the hill. Woohoo! It's snowing. It's raking leaves. Uh-oh. Where are we here? There they are. Ah, I get this closer to the camera. Raking leaves. And there they are. Well, better do it from this angle, you guys. Because these are sort of smaller. Okay, they're in the pool splashing around. But I'm sure they don't splash each other. They're too polite to do that. Chester and Wilson, Wilson and Chester. That's the way it was. And then Lily moved into the neighborhood. Lily had her own way of doing things. I'm Lily. I am the queen. I like everything. Okay, there's Lily. And she's singing. And she likes to do things very differently from Chester and Wilson. Lily wore Band-Aids all over her arms and legs so she would look brave. She talked backwards to herself sometimes so no one would know what she was saying, and she never left the house without one of her nifty disguises. Lily waved at the cars that passed by, even if she didn't know who was in them, and she always carried a loaded squirt gun in her back pocket, just in case. She definitely has a mind of her own, said Chester. That's one way to put it, said Wilson. Okay, there she is. She's got Band-Aids. You can't see them maybe, but they're all over her arms and legs. Okay, here she is. Again, I don't know what she's saying there. Oh, she's saying she's talking to herself backwards. That's what she's doing. So nobody can tell what she's saying. And she's got a nifty costume on. Okay, and there's Chester and Wilson saying, boy, she does things her own way, doesn't she? When Lily asked Chester and Wilson to play, they said they were busy. When she called them up on the phone, they disguised their voices and said they weren't home. If Lily were walking on one side of the street, Chester and Wilson walked on the other and they hid. She's something else, said Chester. Looks like it, said Wilson. Okay. There they are. She's wearing one of her costumes and they're swinging. And they're just not asking her to play with them. And they're not wanting to talk to her when she calls them. Well, so here she is. She's walking one side of the street. Uh-oh. And they're walking on the other. And they're trying to pretend that they don't see her. One day, while Chester and Wilson were practicing their hand signals, some older boys rode by, popping willies. They circled Chester and Wilson and yelled rude personal remarks. Chester and Wilson didn't know what to do. Just when they were about to give up hope, a fierce-looking cat with horrible fangs jumped out of the bushes and frightened the older boys away. No, here I go again. Okay, so there's that strange-looking, scary cat, and she's frightening the kids away. And I think she's got a squirt gun, so we know who that person is. She does have a squirt gun. Yeah, it's Lily. Are you who I think you are? Chester asked the cat. Of course, the cat replied. Thank you, Lily, said Chester. You're welcome, Chester, said Lily. Thank you, Lily, said Wilson. You're welcome, Wilson, said Lily. I'm glad you were wearing a disguise, said Chester. I'm glad you had your squirt gun, said Wilson. I always do, said Lily, just in case. And there she is talking to the boys. And she took the mask off her face so they can see her. Afterwards, Chester invited Lily over for lunch. You have a muscle mouse cup, said Lily. Of course, said Chester. I do too, said Lily. Same here, said Wilson. Chester and Wilson cut their sandwiches diagonally. Lily asked Chester's mother if she had cookie cutters, and she made stars and flowers and bells. That's neat, said Chester. Wow, said Wilson. Look at that. There's a plate full of stars and bells. It's a good way to eat a sandwich. Okay. And there's Lily having lunch with them on the plaid tablecloth and talking about their special cup. That night, Lily invited Chester and Wilson to sleep over. You have a night light, said Chester. Of course I do, said Lily. I do too, said Chester. Same here, said Wilson. Chester and Wilson wanted toast with jam and peanut butter for breakfast. Boring, said Lily. Try this instead. This is good, said Chester. Well, said Wilson. And Lily, I'm going to hold this little toast up on the plate, and she's got Cheerios that she made a mouth with. And maybe those are little berries for feet and raisins for the eyes. And I don't know what that is for a nose. I don't know. Well, maybe it's a carrot. Oh, I know. It's a little orange slice for a nose and ears. After that, when Lily asked Chester and Wilson to play, they said yes. When she called them on the phone, they had pleasant conversations. And if Lily was walking on one side of the street, Chester and Wilson waved and ran to catch up with her. Chester and Wilson taught Lily hand signals, and she taught them how to pop lilies. Lily taught Chester and Wilson how to talk backwards, and they taught her how to double knot her shoe. And, okay, they're all sitting in front of their house, okay, and they're teaching her how to put double knots in her shoe so they won't come undone. Some days I can't tell those three apart, said Lily's mother. Me either, said Lily's father. Chester and Wilson and Lily, Lily and Wilson and Chester. That's the way it was. For Halloween, they dressed as three blind mice. For Christmas, Lily gave Chester and Wilson nifty disguises, and they gave her a box of multicolored shoelaces, extra long for double knotting. They loved to go on picnics. When Chester and Wilson told Lily about how they each had swallowed a watermelon seed once, Lily swallowed 3 watermelon seeds. I'll grow a watermelon plant for each of us, she said. And here it shows them dancing and holding the balloons. Okay. Actually, Lily, instead of a balloon, she's got a broom, of course. She's got one of her costumes on. And there they're all 3 wearing a disguise. So they became very, very close friends. In spring, Chester and Wilson and Lily shared the same umbrella. In winter, they never threw snowballs at each other. In fall, they raked leaves together. And in summer, they reminded each other to wear sunscreen so they wouldn't burn. Chester and Wilson and Lily, Lily and Wilson and Chester. That's the way it was. Okay, there they are under the same umbrella. Okay, and there they are building like a snow fort. Oh, they're jumping in leaves right there. And there's a picture of them dancing in a circle, and there they are. So even though Lily was so different from them, they discovered there were many similarities. It looks like they became really fast friends. And I think that's what's happening with all of us. I think we're learning more and more about each other. And I certainly feel like I'm becoming a close friend to all of you. So I wanted to thank you. I think, Miss Laura, that's what we have for today. And